Hello friends, today on PlayStation News we talk about PS5 hardware sales, Helldivers 2 beats a PlayStation record, Sony is committed to more PS5 and PC games, and Square Enix confirms Final Fantasy games didn't do as expected. Let's get to it. Sony held their financial meeting for the last quarter of its fiscal year where PS5 fell short of the target, but there are some caveats to that. PS5 moved 4.5 million units from January to March 31st, 2024, for a total of 20.8 million units shipped in the whole fiscal year. Sony had really huge expectations of selling 25 million consoles last year, a record number they haven't sold since PS1 times. This was due to PS5 recovering from the stock shortage the year prior, and it was doing very well, but after December the reality was that it was not going to reach that, and they slashed the 25 million target to 21 million, they still didn't meet that by about 200,000 consoles. But even missing the target 20.8 million in a year is not a bad number, in fact it is a record for the company. It beats PS5's previous year by 1.7 million or 9%, and it also beats their best year with PS4 selling 20 million units in fiscal year 16. And to put it into perspective with competitors, Switch has done 15.7 million units during the fiscal year, and we don't know Microsoft numbers, but the console is estimated to have sold about 27.7 million from November 2020 to February 2024. Those additional 20 million puts the PS5 at 59.2 million units since it launched in November 2020, but compared to PS4 it's fallen behind by 900,000 consoles, as the PS4 had reached 60.2 million by this point in its lifetime. However, PS4 had received a price cut while PS5 hasn't. Matt Piscatella from Circana shared a bit of context for Sony's hardware sales in the US, and in the region PS5 sales are ahead of PS4 by 7% and 66% ahead of PS3, but that was likely its peak, so it probably won't sell more than that for the rest of the cycle. It's also 14% ahead of PS2 and 30% ahead of PS1. In related hardware news, Piscatella also said that demand for PlayStation Portal, the PS5 remote accessory, has exceeded supply for several months in the US, doing better than expected despite not being massive. We have also seen DualSense Edge leading in dollar sales in terms of accessories in the US many times. Overall, Sony and PS5 keep doing really well despite Sony missing its internal target. We'll see what happens next year when they are looking to sell only 18 million units, as they expect PS5 sales to decline, but we'll have to wait and see with the release of the rumored PS5 Pro. So far this calendar year they have been leading in all markets in console sales. What do you think about these sales results for the console? Voice your thoughts in the comments. Now let's look at PSN numbers, because the results were also down, but the picture is kind of the same as hardware. A total of 118 million PSN players jump into the service to play online every month during Q4, which is 4% down compared to the 123 million users they got during Q3. Those 123 million in Q3 were a record for the service, but these Q4 numbers, despite being down, are the second highest number for the whole fiscal year, and it's still 10 million ahead from Q4 last year. If they had launched Helldivers 2 with the PSN requirement, that would have helped increase the numbers, but the issues with the game at launch prevented them from doing so, and trying to change it after the game's launch created a huge backlash online. Then we have PlayStation Plus, and Sony's still not giving numbers for total users, but their network services category has improved in comparison to previous years. The segment did $959 million during Q4, up from $760.6 million the previous fiscal year, and overall for fiscal year 23 it did $3.5 billion, up from $2.9 billion. Network services also include advertising earnings, so this is not exactly accurate, but we can tell from the numbers that even if some PS Plus users left, the ones paying for higher tiers offset those losses. Are you still subscribed to PlayStation Plus? Let me know in the comments. Moving on, Sony's outlook of games for the rest of the year is dry with a rumored PlayStation showcase that I hope changes that, but what they launched so far this year is doing really great, and we also have some idea of what's coming up next. Helldivers 2 has been a record so far, and it did 12 million units in 12 weeks between PS5 and PC, beating God of War Ragnarok's 11 million in 10 weeks and becoming the fastest selling Sony game of all time and their biggest game on PC, and Sony commenting the game has far exceeded expectations. This sets a good momentum for Sony's live service efforts, and we'll see what happens later this year with Concord, which should be revealed at the rumored showcase. The title from Fireworks Studio was still listed in the planned releases for the year beside Destiny 2 The Final Shape, that's going to launch on PC and PS5 on day 1, and it will likely require a PSN link for PC players. Sony is shifting its business from increasing the games and hardware sold to one where playtime on the platform is increased after expanding its community beyond console generations, so they want players to invest in the ecosystem on PS4, PS5 and PC. Besides that, they are committing to a 3-year plan to expand the PS5 install base, capitalizing on PS4 players, providing better gaming experiences, and enhancement of first-party software and PC deployment. So far they have only launched live service games day and date on PS5 and PC, but we'll see if they give it a try with their single-player games one day. They also expect bigger sales from first-party games over the next 2 years, so hopefully they show what they are working on at the showcase. What do you think about these game sales results for Sony? Drop your thoughts in the comments. A game that is launching this week is Ghost of Tsushima on PC, but there are notes related to its compatibility with the SteamDeck. The full single-player game, including the Iki Island expansion, will be playable on a SteamDeck, and the experience is optimized for handheld gaming PCs. However, the game will appear as unsupported on Steam since the Legends Co-op multiplayer mode won't be playable, as Windows is required to have the PSN integration. Ghost of Tsushima Legends Co-op multiplayer will launch with crossplay in beta, and it won't allow for automatic matchmaking between PlayStation and PC, instead relying on inviting players through PSN. Nixxes will look at the feedback and continue updating the mode after launch. Will you play through Ghost of Tsushima on PC again or for the first time? Let me know in the comments. Let's continue with Square Enix since they have given a lot to talk about after announcing they will be moving to be full multi-platform due to its lackluster results, but now they have confirmed what was pretty much a given related to Final Fantasy sales. According to Bloomberg reporter Takahashi Mochizuki, Square Enix revealed that Final Fantasy XVI, Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, and Foam Stars all performed below expectations. Final Fantasy XVI started strong, getting 3 million units at launch, but sales dropped very fast. They still hope the game can reach its goal after 18 months. Final Fantasy VII Rebirth also underperformed, and even if the initial sales helped it rank really high in the February charts, it didn't reach the internal target. No sales numbers were shared for either of the 3 games, but they also said that these sales are not exactly bad, just short of what they expected. After all, they revealed that the HD segment grew by 26% and the smartphone, MMO and PC browsers declined by 11%, with the big issue being the $140 million losses in cancelled games. What do you think of these unfortunate results for Square Enix games? Let me know your thoughts about that and any of this news in the comments below. If you want more PlayStation and gaming news, remember to subscribe and check out the previous video where we talk more about the Square Enix and its multi-platform changes, besides new PlayStation CEOs, 35 games leaving PlayStation Plus, and a lot more. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you on the next one.